Hi everyone, it's Cindy. Welcome back to Studioloo. I'm here today with a flip through of one of my Curiosa journals. This is Dark and Mysterious. If you're unfamiliar with this series of journals has basically a curiosity cabinet, Curiosa kind of theme, and it's quite varied. Each book has some things that are similar, but each one is entirely unique. So you'll be seeing some videos coming along from me with these books over the next little while, and you can find more details in my description box for my shop, and I will be posting on my Instagram about when they go into the shop, etc. So that's the little preamble to this video. I've been working on these books for quite a long time. This series started with a legal library collection of books from the 40s primarily, that I got in an auction, and I just decided I wanted to use them. They came from an auction where they were used on a movie set, and they're just really nice heavy books. So this is Dark and Mysterious, and let me just jump on in. So this book is from 1946. It says Ontario Weekly Notes. All of the books have this kind of fun spine. These books are so beautifully well made. They have these nice thick jute ribs underneath the cover of the spine. They were really lovely to work with. So there are 188 pages in here in how many signatures? 7 signatures. The book itself is 6 1/4 inches by 9 1/2 with a 2 1/2 inch spine. On each of the books, the front is unique and somewhat sculptural collage. On the cover of this book, I have here from Hamilton, Ontario, this lovely tintype of this handsome gentleman. This is chipboard that has been put on with a screw eyelet there. This is an antique little cabinet handle that does stick out from the book. These are a dental model that I got also from a medical supply auction, oddly enough, and they are pretty much antique. They've been not antique, but almost. They're very vintage. Then we have a little key here that has been wired on. And there's the title, Dark and Mysterious. The closure is via bronze eyelets with some vintage seam binding there. And I have tied on to the edge of this book a woodcut of this little doll floating in this green solution in a jar. These are handmade by Pork Chop Show on Etsy. And yeah, I think we're good to go, right? We can jump into the book now. So when you look inside this whole series, I forgot to mention the paper backing is handmade paper from a local paper maker called the Paper Trail. So when you jump on in the inside of all of these books, the entry will be sort of similar in that you will see it started with some kind of a cabinet card, or in this case, a little tin type cabinet card of this lovely couple. And inside of that pocket will be some sort of an old document. This is from Joseph P. Heffernan, Oldsmobile Sales and Service from 1935. It's a little invoice there. All of the end papers on the inside of all these journals are from Tim Holtz. So here at the beginning of the book, things get a little bit flippy floppy. So we have a curiosity cabinet here, a little postage stamp, and I've stamped Curiosa on this little envelope. Then this is a vintage photo of this little boy. He's so cute. He's just kind of like happy as can be. And in here we have the form of bequest of brain. And a little stamped label that tucks in here. And then when you go on inside the book here, or the envelope rather, there is a little bitty boo in there, and it is this. This is like an x-ray of a two-headed person. So there's a little bit of dark curiosity, like think, Curiosa cabinet, right? There is a little quote here. I reflected the while of a minute before I made any reply, and then I said, I would high no doubt of the matter. That's from a book. This is cabbage dyed paper. So this flips over here, and then this flips up. You see another label stamp there. Then back here we have some Tim Holtz paper with these beautiful birds and a vintage vellum envelope. This has a little bit of book spine. It says, "With the bird he had in hand." And inside we have this little journal card. So that just pops on in here. And then that flops back down. On this side we have this tuck spot. It says "Land Beneath the Waves." And this tag here is collaged. Lots of fun stuff going on. We have book page and owl, all sorts. Now these are antique doll books that I turned into boiled books to make this really interesting kind of spooky paper. It's got a creepy kind of feel to it. The texture of this paper is really nice, and I used fabric to extend the size of the page and make a neat binding. And this is actually a very finely embroidered black and gray floral fabric. And over here we have more of that paper, and on all of the text throughout the whole book I painted with gray paint to create writing space. This is a tuck spot of this Curiosity, this vintage looking alligator. And these, you'll see lots of pages here of the Cabinet of Curiosities. This is a central theme throughout the book, lots of anatomical type images. This is a tag that is double-sided that I made, and it's the sky with a reflection of an exit sign backwards. There's lots of surrealism in these books. This is some genus information from the Cabinet of Curiosity book. You'll see that on all of those pages here and there. Here I stamped some specimen jars. This is from one of my digital collection of these ornate bejeweled eyes. Some stamping here and a couple little bats. Anatomical image of a lizard. Here we have the dodo on this collaged pocket with a stamp, and this label says, "If only one could tell true love from false love as one can tell mushrooms from toadstools." That's a quote from Catherine Mansfield. Shells and things back here, and then this is a collage tag of the Garden of Good and Evil. The Garden of Earthly Delights, I believe. More of the boiled doll page. This is just a lovely piece of art. I created a tuck spot with sort of a, almost an old, like Italian looking landscapey architecture. This is a giant tag, the omnibus ticket. And this is a wraparound from the other side. More Tim Holtz paper back here, and this is another collage tag that I made. It says Flora. These are some of my carbonized plant pages. This is watercolor paper, coffee dyed Gray's Anatomy, anatomical images. These are some more of my bejeweled eyes. I've added brads to all of these on this belly band so that they move around. And then this holds on to this nice big journal card. This is a spider's sort of Curiosa image. And that just pops on in here. Right in there. I need to just extend my belly band a little. Oh, there we go. Okay, now we're fine. Some marble paper. This is an authentic salesman card for people who do memorial sales. Like these would be a funeral card. It says "In Loving Memory," and it has a lily of the valley. It opens up for writing space, and it has real metallic print on it. It's very, very cool. And then these are some Curiosa type images of seashells. This is a really fun postcard, the vintage postcard that I got. That's from 1963, and I think this is actually the name of like a real town somewhere. I forget where it is, but it's like the town that has the longest name in the world. And then I just did a little bit of collaging with a little rat here on the rocks, and then just this in the sky for a bit of a curious feel. This says Last Rays of the Sun, and we have this very baffled man holding his giant cabbage. And a couple Curiosa images. This is a piece of stationery, just a lovely little globe and directional kind of symbol. And we have a little vellum pocket with a butterfly, and inside of it we have a little journal card of this gentleman. It's a little spooky. More Curiosa of shells and marble paper. This is a vintage 1970s kind of photo that I just kind of cut into a tuck spot. It says Malamute Saloon and has this journal card inside. This is on the other side of the mountains and has a couple of mushrooms there, and it is a tuck spot for this journal card, these oddities. And a collaged and stamped page. We have some binoculars down there and a moth. More of my carbonized plants here on watercolor paper. And then this image here is from Gold Quixote on Etsy, and I dyed the paper to give it this greenish tone in these spots. I wanted to age everything. I did all sorts of dyeing and mixed media treatment with the back sides of the paper. This is some Orthoptera images and another cool family of insects. Then this page is from a legal ledger from, I'm trying to find the date here. It's early 1900s, but I'm not seeing it here. But it is all handwritten ledger paper from AP Gold Legal Society. It's a really cool ledger book that I have. This is sort of a double-sided card. This is Fairest Wild Rose. And we have a couple of girls here in this wooden crate out in the middle of this, what looks like gigantic geraniums. And I've added some stickers, and I've just made it a fun little collaged card to write in. Just more curious, surreal things. Some marble paper. Another of those little stationery pages tucked in. This is what you'll see throughout these books, and that I've made them kind of like little curiosity cabinets with little drawers. So there's a collaged background, and then each of these have my image. I drew these labels, and they're made of different papers. So this is a really fun mixed media paper that I cut these drawers out of and added some gilding. This is the journal card in this one. This one has a couple things. This is an image of an old TV from a real vintage photo, and then this little girl with her doll. And then in here we have this little tag here, like a little specimen tag. This is a beautiful image from an art book that I just wanted to include because it's amazing. So it tips out so I could get the whole image in there. Kind of this elven couple. Then over here I continued with the Curiosa. This is from a 70s magazine called Myth and Magic. It was a super weird magazine. And then this is a vintage photo of a little boy, and then some really cool stamps of like posts, light posts. And those pop in here. And then the Curiosa continues. This is a little surreal image from my collection. I forget which one, my mycology maybe, or my forest collection. I can't remember anymore. And then more of my labeled drawers. This one has this image. This is from Banana Fana Designs on Etsy from her Strangeness collection 1. And then in here I've added this stamp here. It's like a little journal card, and this little girl along with him, a little paper doll. And those just tuck on in there. And you'll see more of the carbonized leaves. That's some cedar. More of that ledger. This is a little tuck spot made out of a cool piece of architecture with an owl. And this journal card inside. And some more insects there. more dyed paper and insects, another image of girls. Some more of the Cabinet of Curiosities images of animals and all sorts. Avocado dyed paper, boiled book page with the dolls on the fabric. I love how the veining of the plants looks on the doll faces. This is dandelion that I've carbonized on rusted paper, watercolor paper. A little perfume bottle there. This is a print that I did at the Howard Museum of this elephant. This is from an antique bronze printing plate that we got to use. So it's from 1820 and I did print it myself. This is a little candelabra and a butterfly and some flowers. More of the carbonized dandelions. Another of the boiled book doll pages. Avocado paper. More Curiosa of different reptiles and amphibians. These are some botanical dried sample pages that I made from coin envelope inserts. So there's a real pressed flower or specimen inside each one. These little tiny flowers, these little helicopters, and I pressed them all myself. Then this is more Curiosa and this fun label here. Tuck spot here with this gentleman sitting with this desk that he has a skull on. And some writing paper with a little raven at the bottom. Some stained paper and more of the boiled doll book. This is a pocket here with this little girl. I believe this is also from Banana Fana Design. We've got some fun insects back here on scrapbook paper. This is from a photography book, a surrealism photography book, and it's like all these buildings, but there's all these tentacles kind of coming out, like the city's being attacked. And I've added some scrappy fabric up here that I've stitched on. This is a laminated oak leaf. More carbonized leaf pages and some fun mixed media background. It's kind of pearlized. And this is another vintage invoice from Moss Garage, 1935. More rusty carbonized leaf paper. These are originals, not digitals. This is more of the pearlized paper, scrapbook paper, and we have this goat from Curiosa conjoined with a little kid. So it's a conjoined goat. This is from a Curiosa book, and another of those fun stationery pages with the globe. And some more painted doll page. This is some stained paper, again with the raven with writing space. This is from a book actually about a guy who is an archaeologist and collects things. It was called Lost Objects. So you see some old stone looking pipe things, and there's a little skull there, and I've added "No one would bother them here." And behind it is some Curiosa book, and then here we have this old medical image of someone's leg being after an amputation, a false wooden leg being added there, and the leg is on the floor. So there is some medical Curiosa in these books as well. And then some Curiosa images of corals, and the other side of that sample paper, botanical samples of different kinds of seed pod flowers, a little leaf there. And this is a large journal card of Curiosa. And this is a beautiful 49 in Market page that I just wanted to keep as is because I feel like it just fits with that Curiosity cabinet theme. And some carbonized Japanese maple leaves. This is one of my painted watercolor toads, and it's on a swatch of different kinds of colors of black. More Curiosa of snakes, and then this is a tag that I made. Over here we have this beautiful Curiosa, and then this is like a woman in sort of what looks almost like an industrial factory of weird hanging glass cages. And then in here we have this little journal card from Tim Holtz. and it's on some fun graph kind of sketchbook paper that's actually from a photography book. And this is like a surreal, cool photograph of like a round staircase going up into a skylight. This is some waffly packaging paper that I just loved, and I felt like it would add some interesting texture. It also can be glued on. You'll see through some of these books I have put pockets and things. It works wonderfully. This is a vintage like graphing log paper. And this belly band here, we have a moth on her neck, and she has like a castle in her hair. And then inside we have this authentic cabinet card, and it's beautifully embossed. And we have this lady holding this little girl here, and it looks like there's like a pen behind them with maybe some chickens, and they're under a tree. I love cabinet cards so much, so I collect them, and I like to share them in these kind of circumstances. This is a beautiful old black ink art image from an art book on surrealism, and there's like skeletons in the treetops and an owl there and all sorts of little hidden details. Some collaging over here and some more of that paper, the graph paper. This is a little check from Bow Casket Company Limited. And then I believe that's from Tim Holtz. It's not authentic, but it's fun. And then more of the waffle paper. This little tuck spot of this little gentleman here on this like steno notebook paper. And this is a tea card that I made. It says, "A landscape bewitched with bashful beauty." We have a skeleton here next to this plant with a light with a mannequin bust on top. And this tuck spot is made from the backside of an envelope, and it says 13. We have some Curiosa under there. And this is a journal card that I made here. This image is from Miles Beyond the Moon, and the rest of it is from a fun children's book, and I just collaged it. The other side here is more of my carbonized leaves on rusted paper. This is an envelope that has this tag inside of a Curiosa cabinet shelving. More fun cabinet of curiosity with snakes, and more of the carbonized leaves. This is that 49 in Market beautiful paper again, and this image of witches in this little tuck spot that's actually made from an X-ray film. More of the cabinet of curiosities. And then we have this little raven. This is a tuck spot that has October 31st, this little journal card. And this is an airmail envelope. In here we have another tag of Curiosa. Little jars and bottles. More doll boiled book page. I believe all of the journals almost contain one of these, and it's a little curiosity cabinet here, and it opens up, and inside I have added these shelves, and it has little things like stickers, little cutouts, things like that that you could choose to keep in here, or you could use them throughout the journal. And they're all they have eyelet closures, and the tie to tie them closed is some of my own hand-dyed bamboo yarn, and I chose that fiber because it will stay sleek and it won't tangle when you're tying it and untying it. Over here we have a tuck spot made from a vintage playing card from a game called Waterworks. We have this Miles Beyond the Moon, little kids down here, they're hiding, and this is from a vintage book. It's a cool like old image of this. It's an old medicine image. It's about like plant medicine. Some vintage graph paper and more Curiosa of crabs and lobsters. This pocket's made from cork and has a couple little paper like metal corners on it, and it has in here this owl journal card, a black and white image from a vintage book, and this is a large carbonized oak leaf on sketchbook paper. Another cork pocket with Curiosa behind it of plants, and then we have a Guelph Daily Mercury invoice from 1935 inside. You can write on the back of those. Another of my watercolor toads. More graph paper, and this is from a fun sketchbook. I just really liked it, so I wanted to include it. A couple of witches having a little cauldron picnic kind of thing here. More of that boiled book of dolls. Okay, this is such a fun image. So there's 4 of them, and I found them in a vintage magazine. And I don't recall, or no, it wasn't a magazine. It was a book about health. So I tore apart an entire encyclopedia designed, I think, for maybe older children and young adults on like health and lifestyle from like the late 60s. Lots of very disturbing things, but I did pull out a lot of fun things like this. There's 4 of these throughout this whole collection of books, and it's like these people reacting to a sausage. See, he has a sausage on a fork, and it was all about emotion. So this is puzzlement, the brow wrinkles, and the head cocks to one side. So for some reason their subject was a sausage. I don't know why, but there's like a whole series of different images of older people making extreme facial expressions reacting to this sausage. And then we have some strange, curious creatures on that stamp down there. More of the cabinet of curiosities. And here we have, this is a vellum sheet that has text. So it's a tuck spot on this cabinet of curiosity of snakes, and this tag is inside. This is one of my images, and it's a little tuck spot on the outside of this large envelope. And then this is like a triple kind of bureau style journal card. It's all about basically tree buds on branches. It's got a little bit of science in there. And then we flip it over, and inside the envelope you see the metal closure there. It's a little rusty. And this is a collage journal card that I make. It says Payson's Indelible Ink, and this is one of my images here. And it's on a jelly print. It's just a fun collaged card. And then these girls here create this tuck spot. This is from a book called Past Objects. It's about all different kinds of old relics that have been found by archaeologists. And this is from a medical art book. And it's basically like the image of death entering the room as a skeleton with an arrow. Has some lined paper on back for writing. This is a rusty horse from that same book. And then we have a man and a wolf kind of entering a room here on this lined paper. More of the boiled doll book. And I love this page just because the edge came out really interestingly. This is a stamp collector page. This is this deer in kind of a mossy nest in the woods. Very curious. And just a wall made of stone. And then we have a piece of little stationery in there with that bird. Curiosa book back there. And then more of the Curiosa book and carbonized leaves on rusty paper. This says Godfather Death. It's from a book. And then we have this kind of spooky foresty image. And there's some animals back here from the Cabinet of Curiosities book. This is an illustration of gulls. Tucks into that belly band. We have some hedgehogs here. And the stamp library book or whatever, collector book. Another boiled book page of dolls with painting. Some more lined paper. These have really nice tealy lines on them. They're like teal and orange. More of the Past Objects book. And then this is something else that you'll see in some of the books. So I have this whole collection, very strange, like 70s photographs of kind of like how people lived in the 70s if they were like party people who lived in like, you know, North America. So a lot of them I don't know what to do with. So I decided to just Curiosa them up, and I added this head to this man's body. I liked her as she was, and then I added this spooky picture over here to cover like, I think like a table full of liquor bottles or something. And there's like a Christmas tree behind them. I thought it was a really fun way to just use these photographs. And on the back it says Linda Rick, New Year's Eve, January 1981. So yeah, the photos go from the 70s and 80s. They're very fun. And then we have this this envelope here, and inside it we have a jelly printed like tag journal card I cut into this shape with one of the eyes from my ornamental and bejeweled eyes collection. another page of the Cabinet of Curiosities, and I added this large sticker of flowers. And then we reached the end of the book where you see my seal here that I've added some thread under, and I've signed and dated the book, and I left the back just kind of plain. I didn't add any pockets. You certainly could if you wanted to, but I thought also you could kind of doodle back there if you wanted. So then the whole book just ties on up, and we are finally through this book. So these might be kind of wordy flip throughs because there's a lot going on in these books. You know, they're quite stuffed with things. So I thank you for joining me. And if you liked this video, there will be 9 more coming. So we will have a little Curiosa happening. I hope you are well, and I'll talk to you again very soon. Bye for now.